Hi, everyone. My name is Jessica, and I will be covering the creation and filter part of this presentation. My teammate Christina will be covering the audit task creation. Finally, my teammate Brianna will be covering both the audit, plan export, and the explanation of finding and conclusions. For case study A, we are trying to determine if there was any fraudulent or suspicious activity on the books for Builders Inc., a construction company located in Canada. We have already conducted interviews with multiple staff members and have discovered that a large part of the CEO's pay, Steve Smith, is profit related, which is raising some concerns. Our plan is to use MindBridge AI to do an audit planning and identify where the issues are and who was the staff member that changed or adjusted the general ledger, and produce evidence that shows our findings. After downloading the necessary documents, our next step is to create the organization. By creating the organization, we are able to have all information under one name, making it easier to find. We are also able to add others into the organization so that they have all of the information that they need as well. The video will show you the process of how the organization is to be completed. Proceed with showing the creation of the organization and all of the steps. Thank you again for your time, and I will now be passing this presentation on to my teammate, Christina.
Hello, everyone. My name is Christina. Right now, you're looking at the creation of the organization and creating the engagement. So I will let this play out as you can see the steps as it's going through. And then when I get to the next part, I will explain what is happening. So at this point, we are creating a general ledger. For case study A, we're changing the time frame to interim and setting the dates as we need them. We're looking from the beginning part of January 1st, 2023, all the way to September 30th, 2023. And we're going to create the analysis right now. And then we are uploading our chart of account. You can do this manually in MindBridge, or you can do this with a pre-created chart of account. We're going through all these checks and the mapping. And now we're doing the general ledger. Also going through data validation, mapping, the period setup. And then we're going to review the data and do some adjusting setting. We are going to be looking at values that are $10,000 or more. And we're adding a keyword for MJ, which is a great keyword that the company uses, and adding a suspicious keyword of Steve Smith, which is the CEO. And then we're going to go ahead and run the analysis. After we do some settings, for this engagement, we are looking for specific things that are catching our eye. So on the general ledger, we're looking for a suspicious keyword, and we want to raise that score to 15%. Since we are looking for transactions that were created by Steve Smith, we want to make sure we are increasing that amount to 15%. And then we also decrease the weekend post amount to 0% because this company does function on the weekends. So we don't want anything to stand out that's not high risk, but that is happening on the weekend. We're going to go ahead and save this. We're entering in our reasons for those changes. So for the suspicious keyword in our research, like Jessica said, in our interviews, Steve Smith was someone that was brought up multiple times. And so we want to look into anything that was created or manually adjusted by him. And then for the weekend post, like I said prior, the company does operate on the weekends. So we want to make sure that those amounts or transactions are not getting flagged when they don't need to be. Right. Well, at this point, we're then going to run our analysis. This does take a little bit. I kind of fast forward that just a little bit, so it wasn't so long. And then we are looking at our risk overview right here. We're going to be doing a little bit of manual things here and there. There are 4 high risk transactions that we found. This one was adjusted on September 30th. The original transaction was done on May 8th of 2023. The original transaction was a total of $219,979. And then this transaction was done on September 30th, and it was an adjustment for a prior transaction done manually by Steve Smith for a total of $195,000, which is a difference of $24,979. And we're going to move on to another transaction that we did find. This transaction is also an adjustment for a different transaction that was done on May 8th. It was a manual adjustment done by Steve Smith again. The original amount and the transaction was J493 done on May 5th or May 8th. And it was originally $132,470.80. And then it was adjusted by Steve Smith manually on September 30th, 2023 to $95,000, creating a difference of $37,470.80. So we are seeing quite a decrease in both those transactions without a reason why. It just says an adjust for Steve Smith. And then at this point, we're going to go ahead and go back. We're creating some tasks using these high risks so that they are ones that we need to look at more later on. These tasks were obviously high risk, so we're creating a task for that. And I'm just adding a comment in here showing that these transactions appeared under the high risk category for the MindBridge score. And then we're going to do a couple more different ones. Right here, we're changing the transaction risk over time just a little bit so we can see a difference between by month, by week, and by day. As you can see, those high risks were all done on September 30th. And then right here, we're looking at entry risk by type. And then you can see that there is quite a few transactions that are showing as a specific type by themselves up on very top with a high MindBridge score. I'm just creating an annotation here to kind of note what we see on the graph. And then at this point, we are going to put a few more tasks that are things that need to stand out just a little bit more. So we're going to filter out some of this, and we are going to a MindBridge score of medium, a monetary value of more than 10,000. And then at this point, we are going to create a task with all of the medium transactions, medium risk score transactions that we are seeing. Getting a comment showing that they appeared under the medium MindBridge score with a monetary value of more than 10,000. And there are two more filters that we are going to work on. The next one is going to be the manual entry filter. We're switching this over to the advanced filtering by control point. At a high risk level with a control point of manual entry. These will show transactions that were manually entered in the general ledger. I'm just going to apply that. And it does show that there are quite a few. We're going to select the ones that have an open status and create a task on that, creating a comment as well. We're going to edit tasks and then add a comment showing that those showed up as manual entries. And then the last three, we are also going to create a task showing that those also showed up as manual entries. Going here, showing me that they showed up as manual entries. And those are going to be the filters and that we have. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and pass this over to Brianna, and Brianna's gonna talk about some of our findings as well as a conclusion.
So now that we have created the tasks, we're going to export the audit file into our platform. So once we export and download the file onto our computer system, the step enables a controlled and secure distribution to our clients and external reviewers or other authorized parties. And this maintains the chain of custody and compliance with data protection and requirements. And in our file, we identified that manual entries were the highest risk areas, with legitimate May sales transactions recorded under J130, J489, and J493, subsequently reversed through manual entries recorded under MJ131, MJ491, and MJ494. And these were all posted by CEO Steve Smith on September 30. The reversals eliminated the related cost of goods sold, artificially inflating the reported profits for the period, and this constitutes a clear case of management override and controls, resulting in a critical risk fraud that compromises the integrity of financial statements. Immediate remediation is required, including enhanced controls over manual entries, mandatory independent review of executive adjustments, reinforced segregation of duties, and consideration for a broader forensic review. Thank you for your time and attention, and we appreciate you being here today.